everyone, welcome back. We're happy to have you here again. So today we're here to talk to you about blonding, right? Spring is right around the corner and summer is soon to follow, and this is the time of year when we start having conversations with our guests about taking their hair lighter. Aveda has many great tools to help us create beautiful blondes behind the chair. So I've asked a really good friend of mine today to join us as a special guest to help give us some insight on some of the great things we can do with Aveda's blonding tools. So everyone say hi to Alberto Rossell Davis. Hi, Alberto.
Hey,
Alberto comes to us from the Neil territory. Alberto, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So as Sean said, my name is Alberto. I'm the Executive Director of Hair Color Sales and Education for Neil Corporation. So I oversee all of the educators, professionals within the Neil territory, as well as I'm a guest artist for Aveda, developing some content for them.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have you here with us. So just so everyone knows, I've known Alberto for a long time, and we know each other from a long time ago when we both used to live in Miami. And that is a time when we've done a lot of blonding, right? And if anyone's visited South Florida, there's a very particular type of blonde that happens in South Florida, which I think we both know very well. So I'm definitely excited to talk to you about it today. All right. So Alberto, Aveda has many great tools to create blondes. So why don't you take us through some of the options we have and which ones are your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, the options are pretty much unlimited. We have traditional enlightener, we have enlightener freehand, we have extra lifting cream, we have deep 12N, 10N, and in fact, the entire deep line. So it's really all about choosing the right tool and in that consultation, knowing the guest's desired result and picking that correct tool.
Awesome, I couldn't agree more. So out of the tools you listed today, I kind of want to focus on a couple specific ones, and those are our enlighteners, right? So here at Aveda, we have two choices of enlightener. We have a traditional powder enlightener and a clay freehand enlightener. So as most people know, the freehand enlightener was launched a year and a half ago or so now. And unfortunately, when it was launched, right, as we were getting ready for education and kind of coming out into the salons with it, everything shut down when COVID came, and unfortunately, many salons had not received the education that they were looking for or even had the chance to even open the product, right? So now that people are back in the salons, there's a lot of questions and a lot of curiosity about it. So let's talk about them. So we'll start though first with the traditional powder enlightener because it's the one everyone knows and loves, right? It's the one we've had for a long time. So why don't you tell me, what looks do you think work best when using traditional powder enlightener?
Well, we have to think about how each one is so vastly different in the type of applications and the type of guests that they were meant for. So when we think about traditional enlightener, it's very versatile. It's meant for on or off the scalp lightening. It's meant to be used in foil work. So when we think about foil work, we think about absolute maximum lift. So when I have a guest, and in that consultation, I hear I want to be the lightest possible, or they're dark and they want to be the lightest. They're showing me this picture. I know that a traditional lightener in foil work is the only tool that will get me there.
Got you. No, I agree with that totally. So to the contrary to that, then with the freehand clay enlightener, what looks do you typically go to when using the clay enlightener to create?
So clay lighteners were meant to be used out of a foil, in a freehand application, nothing really incubating it or separating it. So the type of results that you're going to get from this are just very natural, subtle, being the key word, and sun-kissed. When we think about those three descriptors, that is not a platinum blonde. When we think about it, or a guest that's a level 2 trying to achieve a platinum result. I know I'm not going to use a tool that's going to give me subtle results for somebody that wants to be the absolute lightest.
So say those three things again. You said natural, sun-kissed, and what was the third one?
Subtle.
Yeah, so I think that's what everyone needs to remember. When we're looking to create a look that's natural, that's a subtle change, right? That looks just sun-kissed, then the clay enlightener is a great choice for us. But when a guest is coming into the salon, like you said, with a level 2, 3, even 4 hair, and she wants to be a platinum bombshell that day, leaving the salon a level 10 plus, the clay enlightener is probably not the best choice for us that day, is it?
Correct. And it's all about listening to key things in the consultation. The guest is going to throw out the word balayage, right? That's what they're naturally going to do. Just because it's a balayage doesn't mean, okay, I know I need a clay lightener, right? Balayage can fall into this whole world of different techniques. It really has to do with how light the expectation is and choosing that tool. So the guest can say balayage, but she's showing me this picture of a level 12. I'm like, I'm gonna foil it and I'm gonna use traditional lightener to get the job done. But if they want, something soft and caramelly, I'm like, yeah, freehand will totally do the job for this.
So Alberto, since we're talking about the Enlighteners, I want to specifically focus on the clay Enlightener for a bit. As we mentioned before, it arrived in the salons at a time when not many of our stylists got to really put their hands in it and really get some experience with it. So now I am hearing a lot of questions about, how exactly do I use it? What looks, is it good to create? So you did bring with you today some really great myths around clay Enlightener and these balayage and freehand styles. So let's do some myth busting, okay? So I'm gonna read out one of the myths and then you can tell us whether it's fact or fiction, right? So let's do the first one. The first myth is balayage is a result and look.
Yeah, so the fact is that it's a technique designed to give you gradation going from darker to lighter.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the thing. So balayage is not a specific look on the head, it's the technique that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's see. So the next myth is that clay Enlighteners are used for all balayage applications.
So that is false. So the fact is that they are only meant for going back to that subtle, natural sun-kissed end result, right? So if we need more lift, yes, we technically can still do a balayage, but we have to switch the technique of do something like a foliage where we have to give that end result of a balayage look, but using the foils and traditional lightener to get me that end result and the lift that I need. So no, a clay isn't used in all of them.
Yeah, and you said it. One of the first things you said talking about this is you said a sun-kissed look, right? So if they're looking for a sun-kissed look, then that's clay. But if they want a more dramatic effect, like you mentioned, definitely go with the powder and lightener and a foliage. Awesome. I love that. Okay, next. A balayage look can only be achieved with hair painting.
Yeah, so that's false. So you can achieve a balayage look in many different techniques. You could baby light and then do a root drag or root shadow afterwards to give a little bit more of that melted effect. You could do a foliage, teasy lights. There's so many different applications that we have now to give that same end result of what a traditional balayage would give you.
All right, so our next myth is, in regards to clay and lightener, using a low developer is ideal to maintain the hair's integrity.
Yeah, so that is false. So because you're using a clay, which isn't incubated in a foil and it's open air processing, you need a high developer because the high developer is that driver for breaking down the melanin and the protein. A lower developer won't allow for that because it's an open air process.
Okay, so our next myth is that, well, it's about saturation, right? So if the saturation is variable or not consistent, it won't lift more consistently.
Yeah, saturation is key with any hair color application. If you're actually having challenges with gray coverage, revisit your saturation, especially when it comes to balayage and using a clay base. The more product that's on the hair, the better and more the hair is gonna lift. The moment that you can see the hair through the product, you're only gonna get very subtle lift. And that's the difference between surface painting is that, you're really not saturating through the hair. So you're only gonna get a few levels of lift as opposed to the max lift that product was designed to give you.
Right. No, I know. And I always used to think about it as well, just like it's funny, it says it here on the slide, but it's almost like frosting, right? It's a really nice thick layer on top of the hair to really make sure that is completely saturated and covered. And especially with the clay enlightener, that it really does create that seal, if you will, over the top of the enlightener and let the product work underneath. So that's great. Let's see. So the next myth is that the clay enlightener only gives you a couple levels of lift.
Yeah, so that's true because that's what they were specifically designed to do, to give you very natural gradient results. It was never meant to take a guest from a level 1 to a level 10. You have to assess how many levels of lift that you want according to the starting level. If I have a level 6 in my chair and wants to be a very natural level 10, absolutely a freehand will do that. But, if you want the max, traditional lightener.
Awesome. Yeah, and like you said, we keep revisiting that, and we keep hitting that same point that if the look is something soft, subtle, sun-kissed, as we said before, then we're going with the clay enlightener and we're doing freehand techniques. And if we want something more dramatic and that has more of a full effect to it, we're sticking with the traditional. Awesome. And then this one's interesting. The myth says I prefer to use foils, right? So I prefer to use foils. So why would I use the clay?
Yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. People are just very comfortable foiling, and they want to get the guests as light as possible, even though they're going to end up toning it down. But clay-based lighteners are absolutely relevant in the market. Think about the different tools and how we can incorporate both. One of my favorite things to do is, yes, foil the guest, but then I use a clay-based lightener or a freehand to tip out the mids and ends. One, we have to think about, I just want subtle lift, right? She's already previously blonde. I want to brighten and lighten those mids and ends, and I want that bond protection that the freehand already has built into it. So you can absolutely incorporate both in an application. Another application I love to do is because I love my blondes to be more gradient, I start at the nape and I do a freehand balayage and then foil everything else.
Yeah, I love that. No, I mean, for me, I think that this is great too for when someone, has just is coming in for a color retouch, but they want a money piece, right? And we want to be able to put something on the front, or they want to just brighten up the face frame, and they're not looking for a full head of foils. It's just a small touch up to add a little bit of brightness in their hair. This is such a great tool for us. I've used it myself in getting really close to a guest hairline for those guests that really want to make sure that they see their hair lifted right on the hairline, to kind of come in and almost do small hand painted baby lights with it around the hairline. I think was another really great way to use the product. All right, so the next myth is that the freehand clay enlightener cannot be used on the scalp.
Yes, no clay lightener was designed to be used on the scalp. That's why we have traditional lightener mixed with cream booster.
Right. Yeah, I think that classic formula of 1 scoop of enlightener with 30 grams of cream booster and 60 grams of developer, I mean, that's our go-to on the scalp formula. So lastly, our last myth is that we cannot put the clay enlightener into foils.
Yes. Again, a clay-based lightener, especially like freehand, was designed to be used in open air process. The times that we put it into a foil, the formula breaks down and it won't give you the results that you're looking for.
Awesome, Alberto. So thank you so much for all your insight on that. I mean, I have to agree with everything you said. I think that these are both great products and they both create very specific looks. And as long as we know which product to choose for the look we're trying to create, we'll definitely be successful with our guests. So one last thing I want to talk to you about though today before you go is Botanical Repair, right? We've talked about it a lot lately, but it's definitely important, and especially when we're talking to blondes. So tell us a little bit about why Botanical Repair is so important with our blonding services.
Well, when we think about the products that we use for a blonding service, it always is a lightener or a decolorizer. And it's one of the most aggressive hair color products that manufacturers make. So when we think about what's happening to the hair, and when we think about what Botanical Repair was designed to do, it's a perfect match for me. So for me, Botanical Repair goes into every lightening service because I want to reverse and fix all of that damage that's happening with a lightning application.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I tell the stylists here in the Florida network the same thing. Every blonde you do should have Botanical Repair as part of the service, right? And it should start behind the chair with the Botanical Repair professional treatments in the salon, right? I mean, that's the starting point of the service, right? And then it should be maintained at home through retail. All right, so I think that was a ton of great information, Alberto, and I really want to thank you again for joining us today. You're welcome back anytime.
Well, thank you so much. I will take you up on that offer because I need to visit Florida because I am losing my tan, so.
Well, if you stand next to me, you'll always look tan, so it's great, awesome. So have a nice afternoon, Alberto. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
For anyone looking for more information on the freehand clay enlightener or freehand blonding techniques such as balayage, check out the resources on Aveda Pure Pro. Aveda Pure Pro contains many technical how-to videos for balayage, hair painting, and much more. You will also find the technical videos that show how the beautiful looks from the Lightwaves collection were created. Another great resource is the Freehand Enlightener Trend Guide. This PDF can be downloaded to your computer or phone for quick reference to some great placements and formulas that will help you create soft, subtle, sun-kissed looks for your guests. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you all next time. Make it a great day.